Good morning. I'm going to bring you into my Florida home. Look at this. How lucky am I? So blessed, so lucky. Um, as a matter of fact, the nickname for that's Anna Maria Island, way out there, about it's not that far over there. Kind of looks like a lake. But anyway, Anna Maria Island, and a lot of the phrase, and there's a company that's trademarked it that says, "Am I lucky?" A-M-I, lucky. How lucky am I? So, you hear that a lot around these parts and see it around a lot of products. Anyway, it is beautiful. So I've been running at a furious pace all week down here. Believe it or not, I haven't even been over to the beach yet because I've been so busy working and doing lots of things. But it's like, who can complain though? Look at my office. I have a beautiful place to sit here, and I even have a nice little couch to sit on. And if I sit here, the beautiful thing about having a wall of glass behind me is it mirrors all of that. So anyway, enjoy the view. Okay, 1 Peter chapter 3, and I'm titling today, The Illusion of Choice. Boy, he hit me hard in the jugular this morning. And, you know, this is actually, the illusion of choice is one that I became unillusioned by a few years ago when I decided I wanted to change. And the way I was living before was that I thought I had a choice about suffering, about things being hard, having a hard, and so I was constantly choosing what I thought was easier, the easier thing in the moment, to give in to my impulses, my desires. I was living in the shallows of life very intentionally. That's another story for another day. But I was all about having fun. Life is meant to be enjoyed, savored. If I'm going to eat calories, it needs to be, I didn't see food as fuel. It was enjoyment. It was my joy, it needed to be, every meal needed to be a delicious treat. It was like, why eat unless you really enjoy it? And not that there's anything wrong with that at times, but, literally I was kind of consumed by that idea, and then that was consuming me. And then, it's a wonder the pounds, and every evening meal had to have the perfect glass of wine. I was watching Food Network all the time, which didn't help. Anyway, like all of the things. So I was really choosing what was easier in the moment, which was to give in to my cravings. Yesterday we talked about cravings. And cravings, have a habit of creating a craving for themselves. Things that you do, in alcohol is one of those things. If you enjoy wine on a regular basis, you'll probably start noticing that you're craving wine because it creates a desire for itself. Sugar, the same way, but lots of things. Spending money, watching certain things on TV, social media. Like, our brain is always looking for that dopamine hit, and when it starts getting it from certain things, then it keeps driving you back. But sometimes those habits cause suffering in the long run. Easy choice now, suffering hard later. Or we can choose the suffering or the hard thing of not giving in to our cravings, going in a new direction that's better for us in the long run. But the illusion of the choice is that, that we're going to avoid suffering, avoid the hard things of life, sadness, whatever you are thinking that you're making the easier, more comfortable, more safe choice, it's an illusion. Everything has a cause and effect. We live in the world, the law of paradox and the laws of nature. In order to even have the label of something being good or happy or easy, its opposite has to exist, which means that you will also experience it at some point. So Peter, and how this relates to what Peter says, he's like, choose to suffer for God, for doing good, instead of choosing the suffering for doing wrong. And it was like, isn't that like he was laying down some truth there? But that even one sentence, and the whole chapter is, of course, goes into a little bit more detail about, well, I guess I did too, but the illusion of choice. Like, you're not going to escape this human life, this experience on earth, without challenges, suffering, all of that. And so rather than even looking at that, when you accept this reality, guess what? The suffering is not as suffering. You don't suffer as much in your suffering because you've already kind of accepted that this is part of life. You're more open. You shift from, oh, this is so hard and heavy and I don't want to do this, to, oh, well, this is an interesting experience. It's a choice. Believe me, it's one I've exercised in the past week. I could give in to some of my feelings that were telling me, oh, this is so, I don't want this. This is go away. Like, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to deal with this. Run away. Don't have those tough conversations. Don't do this. That's hard. And instead, I had to choose. If I don't deal with this now and confront this and be honest and handle it with integrity, and it doesn't have to be suffering. It's just something new for me because I have gotten myself in a comfortable place and where I have really believed the story that I don't like confrontation. It's a story that I've told myself. It's a person. I believed my personality. Your personality creates your reality. But guess what? You can change. You are not. Your personality is not fixed. Have you ever heard that before? Did you know that you can become a whole new person? And a lot of our personality was fixed and kind of implanted, and way back when we were like kids. I think it's by the time you're by your mid-teens, your personality is pretty solidly formed. And definitely by the time you get through your 20s and even early 30s, like, it is almost like cemented who you've become. If you've never really been through a lot of change and you've never challenged yourself, boy, then it's really hard. But it's not impossible, and it's worth leaning into the possibility that anything can happen. That's one of the promises that we get even in the Bible, is that with God, with man, it is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. And lean in to the suffering for the good stuff, for good choices, your good health, your good relationships. They are so worth it. They pay off, and in the long run, much better, and they lead to peace, joy, all the fruits of the Spirit of love. Learn to love suffering. It's possible. We're given that promise in the Bible too. Count it all joy, because you know that all your trials, all your suffering are producing endurance and good character and fruit. Like, it's growth. And when we resist suffering, we only intensify. Remember, what resists persists. And not only that, but you feed it, you amplify it, you make it worse. And then people fall into depression and, all kinds of negative thought patterns. If your thinking is habitual, that's another habit. If you think you don't have a choice about your thoughts, think again. You have complete choice and agency. That choice does, and often there's another illusion of choice, is that choices are easy. They're not always easy. Sometimes you do have to embrace the choice to suffer along with your choice. And sometimes we think because we've just decided that then it should be easy. That's another illusion. We've made a decision, we're committed, we're all in, and then we get really frustrated and angry that it's as hard as it is. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I just want the result. I don't want to go through all of this. But guess what? As one of my favorite authors in the whole world, who's no longer in this world as a physical human being, Trevor Moawad, says, it takes what it takes. And so choose wisely. Don't fall for the illusion of choice. You're not getting out of here. You're not getting out of this life alive without suffering. So choose. You have a choice. Choose your hard. This has been one of my anchor thoughts, and that I repeat to myself, okay, I'm choosing my hard. I'm choosing this hard instead of the hard of feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, bloated, yucky, headachy, low energy, never making anybody happy enough. All of that. that was hard. I don't choose that anymore. I choose different hard. But there's no not having hardness in your life. But also I'm choosing not to speak that over myself either. I'm choosing to go, it's challenging, it's exciting, it's new. And that, when I can lean into loving my experiences, even when they require more of me. I want life to require more of me. Because that's where life, is worth living. It's aliveness. Anyway, okay, I started giving you all not a good background. All right, I got to go. The illusion of choice and embracing suffering. But suffer for what's good and not the wrong things. All right, love you. See you tomorrow. Bye.